Crab Star, Shit Star, Death Star. The nicknames for Jetstar are plenty. I would normally only fly them in business class on a long-haul flight. So how did I end up in this awkward situation of flying in economy class with Jetstar on the Boeing 787? Are they really as bad as people make them out to be? Don't know about you, but I am pretty eager to find out.
Step 1, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
A very good morning to everyone and welcome back to one of my videos. And today I'm in Melbourne Tullamarine Airport and I'm flying out from this terminal behind me. It is Terminal 2, which means I'm getting on an international flight. So getting on an international flight from Australia can only mean one thing, which means I'm starting a new travel series again. Now, the plan was to get on Qantas between Melbourne and Singapore in economy class. Perhaps because of my last few negative Qantas videos, karma has struck and they have actually cancelled my flight. And they put me on Jetstar, so today I'm going to be flying Jetstar long haul on the 787 in economy class. I'm going to do it so you don't have to. So come along with me to see what the experience is like on long haul Jetstar 787. Let's do this.
Everybody just do your thing.
You have no idea how close to passing out I was at this point because of all the excitement pumping within me. This morning, our final destination was Malta. You heard that right, Malta. This single ticket, booked via Air France, was going to fly us from Melbourne to Singapore, Paris and Malta. A journey of about 33 hours, all in economy class. This sector was originally operated by Qantas on QF35, but we received a cancellation notice a month before. If we wanted to fly on the same day, only this option with Jetstar was provided. Seeing as this was Christmas Eve, I decided not to screw around with other options and just took this flight at the first opportunity. Seriously, Qantas, what the hell? Has the reliability of the A330s gone out of the window? Anyway, this amazing journey of mine will take 2.5 weeks and I will set foot in 7 countries, namely Singapore, France, Malta, where I'll spend most of my time. Then I move on to Italy, Switzerland, UK and finally Vietnam. So you can imagine all the flight reviews because there's 9 of them alone. Not forgetting 3 train journeys, plus destination vlogs covering Malta, Gozo, Rome, Venice, Zurich, London and Ho Chi Minh City. Are you exhausted listening to this? If you like such itineraries, make sure you hit subscribe and the bell icon so you won't miss the next episode going to air. Giving me a like will definitely encourage me to keep the content flowing. So here's a thanks because your support is very much appreciated. Traveling on Christmas Eve is a task on its own. Everyone has someone to see and places to go. So the airport is especially chaotic today, and we hit the first obstacle at check-in. Because of our complicated itinerary, we were directed to an actual human being at a desk instead of the self-check-in kiosk. And that took a very long time to the point I was feeling bad for the other passengers behind us. Simply because this was the only line for a manual check-in.
Check-in took a while because it is a very complicated itinerary. So this is what's happening. We are flying Jetstar from Melbourne to Singapore, and then Air France from Singapore to Paris, and finally Air Malta from Paris to Malta. So it took them quite a while to try and figure out the itinerary, how it's done, you think it's straightforward, but it took the check-in agent quite a long time. But we finally have our boarding passes right up to Paris. So when we arrive in Singapore, we still have to go to Air France to get our boarding passes printed out for Paris to Malta. So yeah, it's time to get going. Yes, so now it's time to go past departures on this crazy, chaotic Christmas Eve at Melbourne Tullamarine Airport. Come, let's go!
Despite the agent checking our luggage all the way through to Malta, our final destination, the system stubbornly refused to spit out our boarding passes from Paris to Malta. This situation would bite us again at Changi Airport and even at Charles de Gaulle in Paris. Because the agents at these respective airports could not give us an answer as to why we could not have our boarding passes. Eventually, I figured it out on my own, but I shall leave it to episode number 3 to reveal the reason why. So make sure you stay tuned. Despite having access to the QANTAS lounge, today was one of those occasions where I decided to flip a finger at that basement dungeon and chose to get some fresh air, looking at this striking 777 from across the ditch just pulling in from Auckland. It really feels like yesterday when I was just there, tearing out my hair at the airport. What amazing memories. The charm of boarding an international flight from Melbourne was on full display today. That meant agents yelling at the top of their voices and these queue polls which were confusing at best as to which group was boarding from where. Jetstar clearly has no budget for signage, so we depend on their employees losing their voices from a screaming match to get the message across. Nevertheless, we were seated at the back of economy class today, and I always select seats in that section in order to board first. The ride assigned to us for JQ7 from Melbourne to Singapore was Victor Kilo Lima, a Boeing 787-8 which was delivered to Jetstar in August 2015, making her just under 8.5 years old at the time of writing. For the latter half of 2022, a couple of Jetstar 787s suffered a string of unlucky incidents, from lightning strikes to bird strikes, which resulted in 5 of them getting grounded for repairs. Since they only have 11 Dreamliners in their fleet, that meant almost half of them was out of action. This caused much distress for the entire network for months, with flights cancelled and Christmas plans for many thrown into jeopardy. This aircraft we're on today was grounded between May to October of 2022 after a lightning strike occurred as the aircraft was en route between Gold Coast and Melbourne. Jetstar 787s are in a 2-class configuration. I suggest you check out my other business class reviews on this very aircraft. Today, we're in economy class, which has a capacity for 314 seats, laid out in a 333 fashion. People are usually horrified by the mere mention of Jetstar long-haul economy. But it doesn't really look that bad at first impression, does it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you're used to the regular domestic Jetstar in Australia, stepping on board the 787 for a long-haul flight immediately feels different. Simply because majority of these cabin crew members aren't Australians. These international flights are mostly staffed by cabin crew members from the bases of Singapore, Indonesia, and Thailand. I'll touch more about this situation as we go along in this video. The advantage of this is an immediate elevated level of service. Even in economy class, there is a formal tone taken with passenger interactions with words of "Can I?" "Do you mind?" "Can I please?" And the natural service culture is very evident, especially from the cabin crew who hails from Indonesia and Thailand. On settling down in these seats, I found them to be acceptable, with a generous recline and pitch. These adjustable headrests are very welcome if you're one who can fall asleep sitting up. I'm not one of those. There are thankfully individual air vents up there to help should the situation become a little moist.
So this is a surprise. The flight attendant just gave us chill kits, which is Jetstar's amenity kit. I suppose since we were from the cancelled Qantas flights, we get the full works.
The blankets as well.
Oh, and the blankets as well. Alright, thanks. Do we get meals as well?
Yes.
Okay, alright, thanks. Yeah, apparently meals are included too, so yeah. Blankets. Did you want one?
Pardon?
Did you want this?
No, I'm gonna go.
Okay, okay. No, I've got lots of these, so yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
One of the disadvantages of this itinerary, which involves a smattering of sectors not operated by the airline you booked with, is seat allocation. In this case, I had to get Air France to give me a Qantas booking reference to get my seats sorted on QF35. And when that flight got cancelled a month out from Christmas Eve, the possibility to get a window seat became as high as my husband completely devouring a spicy bowl of laksa. And that's how I ended up in the middle seat. JQ7 is notoriously never on time, and today we pushed back an hour late because we needed more fuel for the bad weather in Singapore, and that's according to the pilot. It's fine, because I had a 5-hour stop in Changi Airport before our next flight with Air France to Paris. Now that we are airborne, let's take a look at our flight path for JQ7 from Melbourne to Singapore. We immediately head towards Adelaide, where I departed from yesterday on a positioning flight. We crossed the vast expanse of the barren Australian continent over South Australia and Western Australia before coasting out somewhere over Broome, where we trek towards the eastern tip of Java Island in Indonesia, avoiding thunderstorm cells along the way. Approach for Singapore begins over Bintan Island and the Riau Archipelago before a southerly approach into Singapore Changi Airport. A total flight time of 7 hours 45 minutes, clocking a distance of just under 6,100 kilometers. In case you were wondering, that this flight on a low-cost carrier seems alright with amenity kits, blankets, meals and a personal TV. But these items are normally a chargeable service with Jetstar. They either come with bundles under different tiers to give you Qantas points and status credits, or you could purchase these items separately for a nominal fee. Our TVs have been unlocked for this flight on JQ7, but otherwise you'd need to swipe your credit card underneath the TV to activate this service. It's $13 for an all-access pass for the entire flight, or $9 for an individual movie, or $6 to listen to an album or play a game. Take note that if you're flying in business class, the usage of this entertainment system is free for all passengers. As we journey over Adelaide, meal carts appear along the aisle to begin the buy on board service. You can kinda tell from here that this almost feels like a completely different airline altogether. The cabin crew are most gentle as they bow towards you when having a conversation. They are mostly well-spoken and very eloquent in their speech delivery. I've noted a similar disposition in service delivery when flying up front in business on my last few flights, and I'm happy to report there is little to no dilution back here in economy class. I know what you're thinking. Christ, you got downgraded from Qantas and this is lunch? However, when you look at what warm meals on Qantas look like these days, there is actually very little difference between them too. That being said, this lasagna did not taste that bad after all. The underlying vibe of a TV dinner is evident, and Nonna would most likely slit her wrist after flinging her wooden spatula up in the air. But once you manage your expectations, you'll be fine to live to fight another day on a middle seat adventure zipping across the skies into the yonder. With lunch and movie completed, we were now just about nipping past the state border into Western Australia. I have done more than my fair share of Jetstar 787 flights in recent months, So much so, I was able to move on to the next season of Kung Fu with much delight. All episodes have been loaded, so that kept me occupied for most of this flight until the next meal service. Yep, there is one more before landing. You saw me fiddling with the chill kit earlier on. From an earlier video footage of another flight, you'll see that within this amenity kit, it contains a useful blow-up neck pillow, a pair of socks, eye shades, earbuds, a pen, and a toothbrush kit. I am going to give this away in a sealed condition to any one of you who leaves a comment and tell me why you'd like this amenity kit. It doesn't matter if you like me or not. Even if you call me an asshole in the comments and end it with the reason why you deserve this kit, you'd still be in the running. I'll pick a winner at the end of February. I only have 3 conditions. 1. You need to be a subscriber on my YouTube channel. 2. Be a follower on my Instagram. And 3. You must live in Australia. So when I pick you as a winner, I will mail this kit to you for free. So go ahead and leave a comment, and good luck! As we coasted out of the Australian continent, it was right about here the cabin lights started to come back on. This is something I do not get because at this point we were still about 3.5 hours away from landing. And here we were getting woken up for a second meal card run. I just hope this isn't done for the return flight on JQ8 because that is a red eye. The second meal option was a warm banana bread. Here's a noteworthy thing. Because Jetstar nickels and dimes every single item, passengers like us from the cancelled QF35 service were given these items for free. But we weren't allowed to choose any other options, which means we had to accept the beef lasagna earlier on or this banana bread. Otherwise, we would have been charged if we chose something else from the menu. And only the drink options of coffee, tea, and water were complimentary. I wasn't about to kick up a fuss because I would have gone for these options provided to me anyway. But if they weren't up to my taste, then this would have been a very awkward flight. The lights were then turned back off for the remainder of the flight until arrival. As I rekindle my bejeweled obsession, let's use this opportunity to sum up the video and my thoughts about the cabin crew situation with Jetstar. Look, everyone loves great airfares, and I'm no exception. And how Jetstar long haul achieves this is by using cabin crew from these different bases around Asia. Putting the Singapore base aside, the ones from the bases of Phuket, Bangkok, and Denpasar have their base salaries start from an equivalent of 400 Australian dollars. This is a fraction of what their Aussie peers get. Their layover allowance is given out based on their currencies, which means they get paid in Thai baht and Indonesian rupiah. A normal work pattern for them is to work on a flight from their base to Australia. Then another 2 more flights from Australia to either Narita, Incheon, or Honolulu. Then from Australia back to their base. This is a long time away from home. And with stories of flight attendants unable to feed themselves on layovers, it makes the situation rather telling. Personally, I always make it my mission to go out of my way to be nice to cabin crew without coming off as a creep. Especially when I fly Jetstar, a bag of Tim Tams for them is always guaranteed, and that's my way of thanking them for working these flights. It is a very hard and thankless job, and I hope to give them a little cheer through these sweet, sinful treats. Finally, the elephant in the room. Getting downgraded from Qantas, a self-proclaimed one of the best full-service premium airlines in the world, to a low-cost airline like Jetstar. With the cabin lights darkened, and if you were to squint your eyes slightly, there is now very little difference between the economy class offerings from these two organizations. Either Qantas has fallen off the cliff so much, or Jetstar has improved in quality to stratospheric heights to meet her full-service sister. Whatever it is, Qantas has felt no need for monetary compensation for this downgrade because she felt the perceived value of her economy class product is now very similar to her Jetstar sibling. I even venture to argue that Jetstar on JQ7 has one up over QF35, because the Qantas flight is operated by an A330 hurriedly put together from a scrapyard of junk, which breaks down very frequently like a 5-year-old Volkswagen. The Dreamliner we're on today is comparatively a lot more modern. On a random date 2 months from now, a one-way fare between Melbourne and Singapore with similar frills and fare conditions would cost $271 with Jetstar and $795 with Qantas. What do you think of this downgrade? Let me know in the comments. For now, let's arrive into Singapore Changi Airport.
And welcome to Singapore Changi Airport, and this is Terminal 4, and it's my first time in this terminal because it was open after I left Singapore for Australia. So yeah, this is my first time here. Very nice airport. Anyway, so that was my very first time on Jetstar's long-haul economy product on the 787. So do you agree with my opinions about that flight? Let me know in the comments, what do you think? Have you flown Jetstar long haul and economy class before? Let me know, I'm very eager to hear from you. So anyway, in the meantime, I've chucked details of my Instagram on your screen right now, so hit me up there and chuck me a follow so you can actually see where am I traveling to in real time. And of course, more importantly, do not forget to hit the subscribe button and the bell notification icon, and I will see you for the next episode of this adventure. Alright, see you around guys, bye.